some teachers are not putting in the time and effort to develop strong bonds with their students.
As a result of these poor relationships, students are disengaged and aren't showing good overall learning outcomes.
Well, yes, this seems the case. From my research and my experience, I have learned that there are two types of teachers. Teacher 1 displays great interest in the students, demonstrates a caring nature, shares stories and discloses information about herself to the students. Teacher 2 displays a lack of interest in their students and avoids disclosing information about themselves to their students. Which teacher do you think has a positive impact on students' overall learning outcomes, and why?
I think it's teacher 1 by sharing information about yourself and having an interest in the students on a social and personal level. Students are more motivated.
Yeah, I agree. Teacher 1 has a positive impact on students. Being distant towards being distant towards teachers only makes students feel that you only want them to get their work done, and they begin to devalue you.
I feel that's the case as well. Teacher 1 outcomes. As a result of this, teachers' immense level of interaction with students and displaying a great interest in his students' needs and concerns, students are driven to complete their work and are highly engaged and interested in their lesson and their student task. Teacher 2 outcomes. A distant relationship between the teacher and the students in the class caused a lack of student engagement, interest and motivation to complete their tasks. So, what skills and qualities do you think a teacher must possess in order to promote positive student-teacher relationships and improve student overall learning outcomes?
Well, from my experience with my students and my professional knowledge, immediacy, both verbal and non-verbal skills teachers must possess. The skills teachers must possess.
I agree with Portia, but I also believe a teacher must be of a caring nature and have clarity when communicating with their students.
Yes, that's right. All those qualities and skills that you mentioned are what a teacher needs to possess in order to establish a positive student-teacher relationship and improve overall student learning outcomes. In order to give you some background knowledge about positive student-teacher relationships and their implications, I have researched two positive relationship building theories. Altman and Taylor's 1973 relationship theory holds that relationships increase in intimacy over the time when a duo of members discloses more information about themselves. Following Altman and Taylor's relationship theory, M.L. Knapp created a 5-stage relationship model in order to increase the levels of breadth and depth in relationships. He hypothesized that the implementation of this model between students and teachers will increase the level of breadth and depth in student-teacher relationships over time. The stages include initiating, experimenting, intensifying, integration, and bonding. Along with these theories, a number of people have conducted research studies over the years to demonstrate that there is a link between positive student-teacher relationships and student learning outcomes. Some of these researchers include Nasman and Scott, Christopher Rawlins and Chesbrough and McCroskey. Of those 4 studies, the study that has had a significant impact on me the most was Christoffel's study. Christoffel claimed that when teachers use immediacy behaviours to modify student motivation and increase student learning, there is a significant impact upon students in the classroom. Student perceptions of immediacy, cognitive learning and humour were examined by Gorham and Christoffel. Results indicated that the relationship between an instructor's humour and students' cognitive learning may be better understood when the use of a teacher's humour is observed in conjunction with teacher immediacy. Along with theories and research, curriculum research demonstrates the link between positive student-teacher relationships and student learning outcomes. In preparation for this meeting, I found research from the DECD and PISA that supports this link. One of the statistics I found was the 2003 PISA data shows that Australian students have had emotional engagement levels not significantly different from the OECD average on measure of participation and belonging. Australian students score 495 on the index of belonging and 502 on the index of participation. The average standard is 500. Among the OECD countries, about 25% of students were considered to have a low sense of belonging and 20% were regularly absent from school. A student's sense of belonging and participation can therefore be influenced by the type of teacher-student rapport within the class. As you all have seen, there is a close link between positive student-teacher relationships and student learning outcomes. In the coming weeks, I want you to take part in an observational study where you are going to each other's classes when you have planning time and to observe each other's student-teacher relationships. Along with this, I want you to fill out a questionnaire that is based on student-teacher relationships. Here is an example of the questionnaire. Just take a look and have a read.
That's interesting.
It is.
So it just requires you to circle the answer that you mostly agree with out of all the 5 questions. So now we're moving on to recommendations and strategies. So for developing positive student-teacher relationships and improving learning outcomes. So what are some of the ways you can improve student-teacher rapport in the classroom?
Disclose information about yourself and let students know more about your life outside of school. For example, discuss what you did on the weekend, give the students an insight of your life and your hobbies.
Yeah. Create a classroom culture where students are comfortable and relaxed to talk about their interests, concerns, and life outside of school. Create a student shout out box. How I'm feeling poster, a morning routine poster.
That's great. That's some great ideas, guys. I have both your recommendations on my list, along with disclosing information and creating a comfortable classroom culture, playing get-to-know-you games such as 2 truths, 1 fib, me bags, using motivational starts, target goals, posters, and initiating responsibility such as class jobs, creating a student pledge, and displaying posters about being a good listener. And giving a compliment around the class demonstrates that students are responsible for their own behaviour.